World you are. This is ProCast Thursday, and today we've got a special team for you. The Gathering of Tanks, a Netherlands team that are up and coming. They're trying out on the ESL, and we're going to try and see what they're like, give you tips and tricks on how to improve, and also commentate on the things they're doing right and wrong. Obviously, these guys aren't a pro team yet, but they're definitely trying. Talking about the ESL, High Flyer, have we got something this Sunday?
Yes, we do. We have the ESL tournament. Go for World of Tanks Cup number 75. It's a 7 versus 7 tier 8 tournament, and it is this Sunday at 5 o'clock Central European time.
Awesome. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for that. Just in case you don't know our voices, I'm Dorjan.
And I'm Highflyer15.
And this is Riveting TV. Let's get into the game and say, hey guys, we're live. So we're going to be following the usual pattern of Tier 8 company battles where we take 2 of their points, so they're actually at a disadvantage. So they hopefully have a good plan for that. And Highfly, are you in the team? I'm trying to check. I can't see you.
Well, I'm in the team and wait, nope. Oh, crap. I've joined the wrong team. I actually got an invite from my clan and they were doing a company battle as well. So I thought that I was on the right team. Yeah, that was very weird. I was like saying, hey, I know you. But that
awesome.
Was really the case.
Well, we're now with the Gathering of Tanks, and we should be getting into the first battle very soon. Just to let you just to give you an update on our schedule, we've recently taken on the ESLs. We just advertised, and it should be every other week. We'll see how it goes. We don't want to do too much of this at the same time, because otherwise we're going to get burnt out and you'll have no content because we'll just go, ugh, can't do this anymore. Next Monday, we're going to be doing map tactics for Newbie Monday. And have we actually chosen the map yet, Highflyer?
No, we haven't really chosen a map, but we're definitely going to do one of the newer maps, because last time we went through Sand River, who had been revamped, but we're definitely going through the newer maps because new players don't really know the new maps.
Give you tips and tricks on how to improve, and also commentate. So we'll pick a new one soon. And on Tuesday we have our usual company battles, and the sign up should be open now. So if you go down below the video, you should be able to follow that link to sign up and join in on Tuesdays. If you don't get in, don't worry. If you're watching this on the archive, you can come and just see if you can join the battles, because we often have a slot 3 or 2, and we swap people in and out of the crowd. Well, we're ready. Yeah, so that's them. Do we have anything on the Thursday plan? Not yet, because that's a week from now. Probably Oda Mortis or an interview or something, because we're doing the casting. That would be awesome. So how are you guys doing? Oh, we've got to say, are we on a 2-minute delay? Yes, so anyone who can hear me right now, type banana in the chat. Not for a bad stream, obviously, just to make sure that you can hear me. If you say banana right now, then I know that we're not on a delay, and they're not saying banana. Good. Right, so let's drive away and kill ourselves. Right, so this is actually one of the new maps, Serene Coast. Was this actually redone with the new graphics engine?
I only think it has gotten a facelift with the new lighting engine. So I don't think it's been revamped just yet. Because
I can't see the lighting, you know that. Everyone knows my rig doesn't work. So let's have a look at their formation and let's see their picks first. So what have they gone for? The IS-3s. In fact, so have the other team. Now that's really interesting because you don't actually see IS-3s in professional play because of their tendency to blow the F up.
Yep. And we can see that on the other team. They have their top 2 tanks are AMX 50-100s because of that massive firepower, and because they get 5 shots or 6 shots to aim directly at the IS-3s. So aiming for the Amarak 6 shots in a row could end in an Amarak. So that's why they haven't picked as many.
Yeah, the interesting thing here, I would say, about the Gathering of Tanks lineup is the 2 Tiger 2s instead of the AMXs. Now, in professional play, you often see 1, maybe 2 AMXs. Now, these are quite big groups. It's not 7v7, so 2 is a pretty decent number. So I actually agree with the odds and sods on the other team, who've got 2 AMXs, mostly heavy tanks, 1 skirmish light scout tank, and 3 artillery. It's a reasonably decent lineup. Now, I actually prefer the Gathering of Tanks lineup apart from the 2 Tiger 2s. for the basics of, they've got the T50 for the more sacrificial scout, but we're losing the AMX there. How did the AMX go down? Did you catch that, Highflyer?
It went down up northwest.
Scouting.
Yep. There was already another AMX 1390 sitting up there, waiting for him. So he got blown up. Yeah.
The thing to do here, guys, as you know from watching other streams, is send forward the lighter scout. The T50 has a higher chance of nice hit from the enemy artillery against Lildeucedeuce. You send through your lighter scout until he's dead, and only use the AMX when you've lost your scout. For many reasons. One, the AMX has no armor, so when he gets hit, he's got to take the damage. Two, the T50 is faster, so he's less likely to take the damage. Three, the AMX 90 has a good gun. It's an actual combat tank. It's not a scout. It's an assassin. So, you know, it's one of these things you shouldn't be using the T50 passive and the 90 active at first.
Yeah. The AMX 1390 is very good if you have two of them. Send them through and just dispatch of the entire enemy artillery. When the enemy has been setting up and they haven't spotted the AMX 1390s, so the 1390 pushing a little bit forward was a big mistake from what they call it?
Gathering of tanks.
Gathering of
GOT or GOT. Let's say GOT.
GOT.
That AMX has punished them up north. On the west side, that AMX is still alive with almost no HP, but he's definitely eyeing the IS-3s up the top there, who are getting hit by artillery, which is really good play from the other team. They're seeing where the enemy heavy tanks are, spotting them with their light tank, which, okay, they're using the AMX, but they have not taken a scout tank. That's what you get for not having a full team together. And they're using the artillery, which is the better tactic. Now, they're pushing forward their scout now, so the T-50 has gone forward. We'll see what he can actually do. He spotted the AMX, but the AMX has been able to retreat unless one of the artilleries are watching him now to try and take him. He turned too sharply. This is something I went over in the ESL, if you guys managed to catch that. With the new physics engine, the T-50 drivers need to be really careful not to turn too much. Look at his speed. It's pathetic. It's really, really, really short. Really slow, sorry. Because he's turning too much, and you skid sideways if you turn too hard.
Yeah. And we actually saw some very nice side scraping from the Tiger 2 timer. 11, he was doing a very good job down here, and then they decided to start pushing and received a lot of punishment to all of their pushing tanks actually, and they're still receiving a lot of damage by the enemy artillery, which has been setting up. I think they're setting up in 1, 2, maybe 5, 8. Oh, not 8. That's in the border, but 7 lines. So they have a perfect cover of every single angle, and as you can see, even without pushing out, 2 tanks just got taken out.
Now, the big mistake also being made right now was the 2 tanks at the top, Excessive and who's his partner there, Dino. They've been holding back because of the AMX, even though their main force down south was getting hit hard. When the main force was getting taken out down south, you saw almost all the enemy heavy tanks, which should let you clue in, which we said many, many times, guys, what you can't see, or what you can see, is a lot of information. So they could see most of the enemy tanks. They knew that there would be nothing up top apart from artillery fire, but the artillery is basically knocking out your main force down south, move forward. And that's what they've done now, but it might be too late.
Yeah, it is way too late because all of the enemy tanks are pushing right now.
The T-32 is right in the open. Ray, what are you doing, man? Get back in cover. Too late.
Too late. Oh. Yeah, and the Tiger 2 is very confused about all of these. Oh, he gets an engine, fire engine on the AMX 50-100. But he looked very confused, looking back and forth between 3 targets, and that's a big mistake as well. If you're being surrounded, focus on 1 tank, because if you start to turn your turret, then they're just gonna peek out 1 at a time and just take shots at you.
Yeah. Now it's the sort of thing you got to take note when you're trying to train for the ESL. Is your lineup? These guys obviously normally play 7v7 if it's ESL, but you can apply the same rules to the bigger games. So this is a bit of a bigger game. They're using 1 scout, 1 skirmisher, 2 artillery, and the rest heavy tanks. But their heavy tank choice were interesting for their strategy they used. Now, to be honest, if they wanted to do the strategy and they actually kept the lineup and didn't change it up at all, I would expect the Tigers to have gone to the camping side. So they used the Tiger 2s for the defensive and the IS-3s on the offensive, just because of the way the tanks work. Now, Highflyer, why is the IS-3 better at assaulting than the Tiger 2?
Because of the slope and the speed also, but mostly slope. Because they can peek around the corner and get that perfect angle, so the enemy fires before having an angle on their armor. And if you want to send something to camp somewhere, let it be the slow tanks. Don't let it be your fast assault tanks, because as the words say, assault is meant for assaulting, not defending.
Yeah, I think the artillery did the number on them. If we have a look at the stats at the end of the battle, we're going to see high numbers from their artillery. They're not out of it yet. We're talking like they're out of it, but they're not. Kind of they are. But they actually had a chance. The last two IS-3s, at least one of them, is down to about 10% HP. Now, if Excessive didn't bounce his shot, he actually moved across there and bounced the shot in the back of the IS-3. If he'd actually got close to him and made sure he didn't miss that shot, or stayed still to take the shot, risking the arty shell, he wouldn't have had to have reloaded and been hit by 3 artilleries knocking him out. Now, they would have both been able to move back to base and take out the last 2 IS-3s with no enemy artillery support. Is he getting stuck there?
Oops, yep, he is getting stuck.
Oh, wow.
Again, a new thing about the physics, the maps aren't perfectly made for the new physics when they haven't been revamped. So
I think this is good. I think making decisions like this is a risk, and the fact is that he got stuck on such a high thing is actually quite realistic. I like it.
yeah.
A light tank goes really quickly, would take some damage, but actually stay upright. So, good game. First one, it's 0-1 to the opposition. And we'll see how that goes. Let's have a look at the team score. I'll just ready up in the team window as we look at that. Okay, so if we look at the artillery here, 1,100 damage, 2,500 damage, and 2,100 damage. That's the 3 artilleries for the opponent team. Now, let's look at the artillery for their team, 1,000 and 3,800. Okay, Fitzgerald did actually really good. I didn't actually see that much damage getting outputted by them, but it shows you the difference between the artilleries here, because we got that much damage for him, and what's their other damage? Sorry, yeah, less than 1,000. So yeah, okay, they did just as well with their artillery, but they were on the defensive and they eventually died. I'm guessing he got a point blank shot off.
Yeah, he did in the end, but of course it wasn't enough. But the artillery actually started doing a lot of good things in the end of the battle, because there were, or at least the GW Panther was the reason they got, they could have gone back and gotten the win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think there was a few choices that have made them suffer, and I think the biggest one was the early loss of the AMX. Yeah. Honestly, if you look back at it, if they had used the T50 there and lost the T50 there, they would have been in much better shape for the mid-game, where they started losing. Now, they're against KGCS here, guys. So, in the chat, just for a bit of fun, vote who you think will win. Cat will keep score. So, who do you think is going to win? Our GOT guys or the KGCS? We didn't do the voting on Tuesday, so I'm going to do it tonight. So, we'll see what happens now. Let's have a look at the lineup. So, Christian, what do you think about their lineup? Not what attacks they haven't... Sorry, gathering attacks they haven't changed, but the other guys.
Well, I see 2 premium tanks, and I'm not really a fan of that. But of course, if they don't have any other choice, then a Löwe and a Type 59 is a decent choice. They could have gone for another AMX 1390 because of the earlier set. Wolfpack of it can go in and clear off the entire artillery line of the enemy. I don't really know what the Type 59 is going to be doing in this battle. I just don't know, because it is such a slow tank, unless it's going downhill, and the Löwe is also a very slow tank with very low alpha damage, and the reload speed is also very slow. The interesting choice besides the premium tanks is the KV4, a slow bouncing machine, but again, not really a choice by many clans because of its slow nature and lack of horsepower.
Yeah, I really question both the opponents' teams are using no scouts whatsoever, and I know that Gathering of Tanks used their AMX as a scout last time, which is a bit regrettable. Interesting. Tiger 2s down south together. Do you think that's a defensive maneuver?
Yes, and this time it is a good defensive maneuver because, well, they do have the firepower to hurt people if they try to push forward, and we see the enemy has also chosen to put a Tiger 2 down as defensive, as a spotter, because it is the tank that you're allowed to lose, and your team won't suffer as much if they lose a Tiger 2 as much as, ooh, a nice shot
Very
there from
nice.
Geyser. But yeah, you don't really, it doesn't hurt as much when you lose a Tiger 2 compared to a IS-3.
Now, the interesting maneuver up top there, look at the T-50. What is he doing? He's been at the back the entire time. Do you think he's got a suicide to try and kill the artillery? He's waiting for an opening in the lines.
That could be.
But surely that's the AMX job.
Yeah, it is. And the enemy AMX noticed this and is going after it. Maybe he used all of his shells, but they do have defense in the KB4 and an IS-3, so that T-50 is not going to do anything to the artillery.
Oh. I love the use. I love the use of the IS-3s up the north. It's been really solid play. They split up a bit and they're in the open for artillery and they need to keep moving. Needs to get closer. Don't be scared to get close in the IS-3s. Remember the angling and armor exercises we did with the IS-3 and showed you how to aim for them? Getting close. To hug their face, and if you do that, the IS-3 is much tougher because it's harder to look at the angled armor, and if you just take a snapshot at point blank range, there's a very good chance you're going to hit one of the angled armor and deflect it. They've got to be careful here on the approach. They need to bring their Tigers forward, because if they don't, guys, look, they've already called for it. They're reading my mind. If they don't bring the Tiger forward, their IS-3s will be in the open facing a dug-in enemy, and they're not so good at breaking dug-in enemies without some distraction, especially when the artillery is coming down upon them. They're not even rocking to and fro. Donopose is taking his shot here. I wouldn't be surprised to see his health drop radically in a second when the artillery gets a beat on him. There you go, one shot from the side. That was the enemy IS-3. Now, the Tiger 2s have pushed forward, and it seems like, oh, a little trap! The Leuve actually ran all the way down to the bottom there. Do you think the friendly artillery can get them?
Yeah, I think they can, but right now they're in disarray up there in the base. But I'd like to point out a small flaw in the artillery from Gathering of Tanks, because when we saw that the first time the enemy artillery was lit up, an artillery shell came flying in trying to hit the MX 1390. It is so fast, and all of the enemy artillery was sitting still, so I have no idea why he was shooting after the fastest tank in the game.
Yeah, that's one thing we noticed about the bigger teams. They reposition their artillery a lot. Now, Game of Thrones? Game of Thrones? Gathering of Tanks haven't repositioned their artillery at all. They both sat still, so their angles have been the same the entire time. They've not had bad angles, and they're doing solid from it. But they could have moved and maybe got a bit better. This AMX 3090 is really focused on one thing, killing that other AMX 90, where he could be taking out that GW Panther who's aiming for him right now. But he's not paying any attention to him. Oh, one shot. Does he have another shell? Does he? Oh, did he miss? No, he got it.
He got him, yeah.
If he dies now, it doesn't matter. He's done his job. He's killed the... In fact, the other one won't have enough shells, will he? Nope, and he can run away through his teammates. Fantastic play. Good job, Raptor.
They've been fighting the entire time, just exchanging shells. And if you come up against the tank while you're scouting the artillery, don't start exchanging shot, because as an AMX 1390, you're gonna have the same amount of shots. And as we saw in the last round, the AMX 1390 lost because he just went on and tried to get the higher damage rolls on the 6 shots, but it didn't happen. But this time he got his attention turned towards the enemy artillery and started firing at it. That was good job.
Honestly, that was almost perfect play. There was a few little mistakes the individual players did, a few global strategies that were slightly needs tuning, but generally speaking, it was good. If the T-50 was... no, I agree with the T-50's plan. It did light up the artillery. It did get a couple of the artillery knocked out or forced to reposition. Remember, guys, the big rule, if the enemy have to reposition their artillery, the artillery is useless. Therefore, it's as good as killing them while they're repositioning. Now, if we look at the results, let's have a look at the friendly artillery. 1,300 and... Did they lose an artillery?
3,600.
Again, Fitzgerald. Yeah, amazing. Every time, 3,600 damage. He's doing really well. The enemy artillery, 1,000 each, which was solid. It's definitely not worthless. Although the M12, 629, one shell hit, basically.
Yeah, but having an artillery being at he's at the second spot during the entire match with XP. That's really amazing. Even though it only says 4 hits, of course, it says damage caused by HE, so it's 4 out of 11 shots that he's been hitting, so that's a very good shot. Or accuracy, of course.
Yeah, so that was much improvements. It's like they took our advice on board. The Tiger 2s went together to defend, where the other team pushed round. The T-32 was the playmaker. He was in the middle, waiting to see which side needed him. He played in the middle with the AMX 1390. Then both the AMX 1390 decided to push through the middle, although, sorry, the T-32 supported the Tigers. They need to push that direction. Great decision-making. The artillery probably needed to do a bit more moving about to adjust to the battle. As you said, they wasted a couple of shots on things like the AMX instead of going for the enemy bigger tanks or the enemy. Okay, let's stop talking about the previous game and let's have a look at XEQTE. What the holy shit of the fuck?
That's a very weird combination. They've gone artillery party. That's very weird. And they don't even have any. They have 1 fast scout, but if they lose him, they only have 2 slow medium tanks because the T series isn't fast. Even the T50 54 is not very fast when you compare it to the other tanks. But
okay, start your voting now. The queer lineup, and I mean queer by strange. QEQTE or GOT. So you guys vote now. I'm thinking they lucked out here. They got one of the best RT maps they could have.
Yeah, the enemy. Yeah, they pressed the button and crossed their fingers and they hit Melanovka. And they got the houses. So it's really lucky for them. Or if they just play with this team constantly, then they just finally got the map.
I've never seen such a lineup because they're not playing defensively either. If they were playing defensively, why pick the IS-3s? So they've got IS-3s, KV-4, T-34, T-44, Type 59, but 5 artillery. If they're going for an artillery setup, why not take 2 scouts and then some really big defensive units? Maybe even a TD or some of the T-32s. Tiger 2s even, maybe, just defensive units. Not the IS. The IS-3 is a really bad defensive unit. As we pointed out, guys, it's really long. It's easy to be hit by artillery in that sense if it's not moving. It likes to get close. Its gun is quite bad at range compared to other teams. So, other tanks, sorry. What do you think about that decision, Highfly, the heavy tank decision for the other team?
Yeah, well, we saw some of their heavy tanks move out of the base pretty quickly, so they might be the... Oh, artillery got a very nice shot
10 HP.
Oh my god.
Fitzgerald again. he's taking that one.
That's amazing. Yep, that's me.
He's doing really well. He's definitely an artillery driver we need to pay attention to in future, I think. He's got a lot of skill, that guy.
Yeah, that's amazing. But
the T-50 is doing a lot better this time as well, look.
Yeah, just going up, spotting, then getting back. At the AMX 1390, I was actually just about to complain about him being a little bit too slow, but he picked the perfect bush instead of pushing it and putting himself at risk by going to the perfect spotting bush. And just sitting there, he lit up the Type 59 and the T-50-2, which got taken out very quickly. I don't know why the T-50-59 pushed forward while the T-50-2 stopped, because that really, what do you call it? Really, there's no real reason for the T-50-2 to stop there, if the T-50-59 is just going to push ahead and spot anyway. So that was a waste of tank, in my opinion.
Indeed. Now let's see how the gathering of tanks use this advantage they've got. Remember, guys, if you go for artillery heavy, you rely on your scouts, and if you lose your scouts, so they've lost both of theirs, they're gonna. There you go. Look at this. All three of their scouts gone.
Yep.
Fitzgerald taken out, but Dicer was looking out for the artillery and seen it. Right, now this is the desperate maneuver. Is this what the IS-3s were for? It's like they've got a lineup just for this map. Honest to God. They're using the assault tanks across on the lower field, on the south side. It's a very common strategy. High Flyer does it. I do it. Although normally the reverse. But it's coming that way means you're not sighting to the last second. Oh,
Fitzgerald, go! Kidding me?
Oh, man.
God.
Right. What, he's driving the DW, isn't he?
Yep.
That machine's OP.
Oh, my God.
Very good arty driver. Very good.
But we're still seeing two IS-3s just sitting in the base. I would have expected them to push ahead together with the other IS-3.
They use it for scouting. They are lacking on, for this strategy. They're lacking on scouts. They have 5 artilleries. They needed to see what the enemy are doing, else their artillery are doing nothing. Remember, the heavy tanks aren't doing nothing when they're still alive, hiding in a bush, because there's still armor and stopping enemies progressing. People aren't scared of artillery in the same way. People will progress if there's only artillery left. So the heavy tanks have a role when they're unseen. The artillery, on the other hand, are less likely to cause you fear unless they've got scouts, because you know that they're only going to see you at the last second, and then the artillery are going to have to think, oh, should I fire or not, because I might kill my own tanks. Oh, wow. How are they lit up?
The
MX-1390.
Yeah. He got killed by the T-34, which is only good for defense on this map. He's hiding up there. Okay, he's not defending at all. He's sitting in the open, being a scout right now. He could have run away a long time ago, but
he has to be the forward scout. If he doesn't spot them there, what are the artillery going to do? Again, they're restricted by the artillery. They picked a 5 artillery strategy. They got to use the 5 artillery.
Yep.
And this is hurting them. They've only a few things you can do with your lineups. You've got to look at when you choose in your line. When you're a team captain, you've got to choose your lineups. You've got to think about what you can do on what maps. Picking 5 artillery restricts you to defensive maneuvers once your scouts are dead. Simple as that. You are now restricted to defensive maneuvers. If you have no scouts left and you've got 5 artillery, what are you going to do? Push against their assault team? Don't think so.
Nope. No.
It's going to be clean up here.
Yep, you're just going to push in, clean up, and that's GG.
Yep, definitely. There's nothing more to say about that. I think this lineup is actually doing okay. The T50, the MX-90, totally agree with. The Tiger 2s I'm starting to like. They're doing their job. I'm starting to like them. They could probably be replaced by high-level TDs. But that's just personal preference for the players, and there's nothing wrong with the Tiger 2 at long range.
Yeah,
it's clearly doing their job, so they're not letting the team down. The T-32 is obviously a good choice, and the IS-3s are working out for them. I'll be interested to see if they go against Erdem Mortis or someone like that, and how they perform when they're against a more challenging opponent. But let's watch them clean up here. I believe this is a good place to split into the second part. We're going to do 2 parts today, guys. Part 1 and 3 games in part 2 or something like that. So it's going to be about an hour's episode. So don't go anywhere, and we'll see you after the 2-minute music break. Get your drinks, guys.